Hello, welcome back to Learn Economia. In this video, we are going to look into the neoclassical growth theory. What is neoclassical growth theory? We know that this theory is very important when development economics is looked into. So it plays a very important role in the arena of development economics. This theory outlines the way in which a steady economic growth results from a combination of three driving forces, and these three driving forces are labor, capital, and technology. We know that there are many economists who are related with neoclassical growth theory. The prominent among these are Robert Solow and Swan. The National Bureau of Economic Research names these people as having the credit of developing and introducing long-run economic growth, and they have introduced the same in 1956. The neoclassical growth model. This is considered to be exogenous. This growth theory it considered this assumes exogenous population increases to set the growth rate. But though this theory was introduced in 1956, in 1957, Solow he has incorporated technology aspect into the theory. Coming into the working of neoclassical growth model, we could see that the theory it looks into the short-term equilibrium, which results this results from varying elements of labor as well as capital, which are used in production process. As per this theory, technological change is very important in an economy, and economic growth cannot continue without technological improvements or advances. This theory outlines that there are three factors which play important role in the economy. These are labor, capital, and technology. This is something that we have already discussed. This theory clarifies that temporary equilibrium is something which is different from long-run equilibrium. Coming into the special consideration of neoclassical growth model, we could see that this theory actually takes into consideration the accumulation of capital in an economy, and also takes into consideration the way in which people use their capital, which will lead to economic growth. Further, the relationship between capital and labor of an economy determines its output. Finally, technology is thought to augment labor productivity and increase in output capabilities of labor. Therefore, the production function of neoclassical theory, it is considered to measure the economic growth and equilibrium in an economy. If you look into the production function, you could see that Y is equal to AF KL. Here K stands for capital and L stands for labor. Y is the economy's gross output. A represents the determined level of technology. Because the relationship between labor and technology is something that we have to understand, in economy's production functions could be rewritten as Y is equal to function of KAL. Increasing any one of these inputs, we know that it can have its impact upon the real GDP of an economy. And both real as well as nominal GDP would be affected as a result of this, right? However, these factors which are used in the neoclassical growth theory, these are not equal. The returns of both unskilled labor and capital on an economy can diminish. As a result of these diminished returns, increases in these two inputs have some decreasing returns. As a result, we could see that this will impact the economy. But if you look into the case of technology, it is considered to be boundless in its contribution to growth, and as a result, the resultant output it produces would be affected. Coming to the example of neoclassical growth theory, we could see that in 2016 there was a publication which is titled as Technological Changes in Economic Growth Theory, Neoclassical Endogenous and Evolutionary Institutional Approach. Here we could see the role of neoclassical growth theory. The authors of this particular work, they find a consensus among different economic perspectives, all pointing to the technological change. Uh, um, if you look into an example, you could see that neoclassicalists, they have historically pressurized the government in order to make investment in scientific arenas, research arenas, innovative arenas, etc. In the case of endogenous growth theories, the supporters of the same emphasize that factors such as technological spillover, research, development, all these would be acting as catalysts for innovation and economic growth. Evolutionary and institutional economists, they are of the view that economic, social, etc., these kinds of environment for technological innovation and economic growth are very much important. So that's all for today. Please like, share, subscribe to this channel for more videos and be a part of my Telegram group and Telegram channel to discuss your doubts. I'll be providing the links of the same in the description box. That's it. Thank you.